Let's face it, we all need a card in a hurry, right? Well, today we're going to be creating some quick and easy fun fold cards. Guys, these are going to just blow your mind how easy and simple they are to create. Hello, welcome everyone. I'm Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com, and today's Tuesday tip is one you're going to want to remember. This is a fantastic 5-minute card. Boy, we all need those sometimes, right? And these cards are going to feature Stampin' Up's Scenic papers. They have some incredible and absolutely gorgeous, these kind of beautiful painted scenic papers. We're going to create 2 different cards today, one for the guys, one for the girls. So let's talk about the supplies we need to create our first card. We're going to start with our masculine card. I think that's the one that we struggle with the most, it seems. Now, friends, as always, there is a free download that goes along with today's video. So I don't want you to bother writing down measurements and supplies, things like that. You don't need to. This free download, you can save it to your computer, print it, whatever works best for you. You're going to have everything that you need right there. In fact, if you need to come back and watch the video again, you can just scan the QR code. And if you are in the United States, friends, I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And I've got a complete supply list of everything I'm using on today's cards. If you need any of those items, you can just follow that link. It'll take you right to my online store and you can order right there. All right, friends, let's go ahead and jump in with our first card. Let's talk about the card base. Now, it is a standard 5.5 by 8.5, and I have 2 score lines. I have a score line at 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. So you're going to see that's just going to fold in half, and then we're going to fold a panel back. Very simple to do. Now, the inside of the card, because there is that additional card, this is a 4-inch by 10.5, and it is scored at 5 1/4. I'm going to be using basic beige for the inside of the card. And the designer series paper, guys, this is from Beautiful Gallery. And I just thought this print itself was just perfect for the men. This is going to be great for a sympathy card or thinking of you card. And I said I had tips and tricks on how to cut. So let's talk about that. So we're going to be cutting this into 4 pieces. And the first thing you want to do is you want to cut this down. Right now it's 6 by 6. We need to cut it down to 5 1/4. I have a lot of sky. So I think I'm going to cut off some of the sky. You're going to look at your paper, whichever one you're using, and you decide, do you want it off the top or do you want it off the bottom? So I'm going to cut this down to 5 1/4. Now I am going to use this piece, and I'm going to cut it down to 4 inches because, one, I think it's still really beautiful paper. And so I'm going to use that on the inside of the card. All right, so now we have a 6 inches by 5 1/4. Now, I really loved the boats that were right here. Now, I'm going to need 4.5 inches of this paper. So that means I have 1.5 inches that I can work with that I can get rid of. You could take it here. You could take it here. You're going to kind of look at your paper and decide. I'm going to go ahead and look at, yeah, you know what? As I look at this particular paper, I think I am going to go ahead and cut the 1 inch off this side because I really want these boats to kind of be the star. So on your paper, you might be cutting off maybe 3/4 of an inch here and the rest over here. Don't worry about it. Whatever works to get the look you want. Now, this is a piece of scrap, but let's take what's left over. And this part is important, the way we cut it, because we want our scene to flow, right? So we're going to cut these 2 pieces, and that's going to leave us a 3/4 of an inch piece. So we're cutting this down to 1 7/8. All right. That's in between 1 3/4 and 2. So there's a 1 7/8. Here is a 1 7/8. And yep, there is my 3/4 of an inch that I have left over. I'm going to set these 2 pieces aside for now because that's going to go on the inside of my card. I want to make sure I have my scene going correctly. All right, I've got that. So we'll start with our first panel, and you'll adhere that to the far left panel of your card base. I love this secret C. It's just perfect and beautiful for the men And of course, it's just stunning with this particular designer series paper. All right, here I'm going to add my next panel. All right. So now let's go ahead and we're going to work on the inside part of our card, and that is the basic beige. I'm going to bring in a basic beige ink pad. And as I looked at this paper and these beautiful clouds and all, I said, this paper just seemed a little stark for me. So I wanted to add just a little. Oh, do I dare say I wanted to muddy it up? But I think that's the best word. I want to tone this down with a little bit of ink. And I'm going to do that with a blending brush. Now, I've got a large blending brush. You could use the small ones as well. I'm going to ink it up, and I'm just going to very light. I mean, I'm like barely touching it. Okay. So as I get started, I'm going to add this color. And can you see it's just starting to kind of show up on there? And like I said, it just kind of tones down my basic beige a little bit. The more of that ink that comes off, now I can press a little bit harder. Okay. I'm going to have to do this a few times, but when you first ink it up, you're going to want to be very, very light. Okay. Now, this is an extremely light color. So a lot of times when I'm using blending brushes, I like to dab off on, copy paper, junk mail, whatever I have laying around. But with this one, and I hope that you can see just how beautiful, just that little bit of ink and what it does for my card. Now I've got 2 more pieces of cardstock. Well, technically I have 1. We have 2 more areas we want to do this same blending. So I'm going to come to the inside of my card, and my sentiment is going to come right across here. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of my basic beige ink right there. Not a lot, just a little. And then I have a small piece. This is for the greeting that's on the front. This is a 2 by 1.5. And the reason I'm doing the blending brush first, I'm going to be stamping my greeting and my sentiment. I'm going to be doing that in secret C. And I didn't want to run the risk of it smearing in any way. So I really like to make sure I get all of my blending brush work done first. I'm going to use my Secret C ink pad, and I'm going to use the stamp set Wonderful Thoughts. I thought this was a really nice stamp set. We're going to do just kind of a nice encouragement card. So on the front for our greeting, I'm going to say, I'll listen to your silence when words are just too much. We're going to center that there in that piece of cardstock. Now for our sentiment on the inside, we're going to say, it's okay to fall apart. I'm here, still here for you. I love this. And the gentlemen need those encouragement cards just as much as the ladies do. All right, that is all of our stamping. I'll tell you what, since we're here, I'm going to go ahead and add those additional 2 pieces of designer series paper. So this one here is going to go all the way on the left side of the card. You're going to want to line that up with the edge of that basic beige. And remember, this was really just a scrap, but it adds a lot to the inside of the card. So we will add that right down here. If you want to leave a little bit showing, you can. If you want it to go all the way down to the end, feel free. All right, friends, let's add this right here to the inside of our card. All right, we have the main part of our card done, but it's time for today's Tuesday tip. And today's Tuesday tip is how to kind of roughen up cardstock. It kind of gives it a good look for the gentleman. And we're going to do that simply with a pair of scissors. So you're going to open your scissors up all the way, and you're just going to run the edge of your scissors along the edge of the cardstock. Do you see that great rough edge? Yes, you're going to have some little fuzzies, and that's all right. But I love the look. It also bends the edges of the cardstock a little bit. Do you see that? How it kind of lifted it off? I love that. I love it when it tears a little bit. Like, let's see if I can get it to do that. And just kind of get in a little bit rougher. And I just think it gives such a great look. I'm going to go ahead and get my fuzzies off of there and clean up my mess. We are going to add this greeting to another piece of Secret C. It is 2.5 inches by 2. Now we're ready to add this to our card, but I want you to see we're only going to put adhesive on about half of that because we're going to want our card to be able to open. We don't want to seal it shut. So we are going to take our adhesive and about half. We are good to go. We'll add that to the front of our card. Before I press it down, I always take a moment to look to make sure I don't need to scoot it down if I got a little adhesive there, but I didn't. And friends, boom, 5 minutes. Look at that. We have a great card of encouragement to give to the gentleman. All right, I have another card I want to share with you. Don't forget about the free download that I have for you that goes along with today's card. So when you have 5 minutes and you're ready to recreate these fantastic cards, you'll have everything you need right here. You'll have photos, the supply list, the measurements, of course, and a QR code that you can scan and come right back here and check out the video. Guys, remember, you'll find that at simplysimplestamping.com or look down in the YouTube description for a direct link. I hope that you guys like those free downloads. I love being able to share the measurements so it can be easy for you to follow along. Hey, here is our next card. And I think this one, again, is just, it's beautiful and purpley. I love anything purpley. So grateful for that heart of yours. You are so appreciated. Okay, great card for the gals. Let's create this one. This card is in gorgeous grape. Once again, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. So we're going to fold in half, and then we're going to fold that panel back to create our quick and easy fun fold. The inside of my card, 4 by 10.5, scored at 5 1/4, and that is in Very Vanilla. On this card, we're going to be using Splendid Autumn. And oh my goodness, look at those gorgeous flowers. They're fantastic. Now, we talked about some tips and tricks on how to cut this designer series paper. Now, this one is going to be cut just a little bit different because, like I told you on the first card, you really have to look at your designer series paper to decide where is the best place to cut. Well, for this one, I can easily see there's not a lot of sky here. So I'm going to take my this bottom area. And remember, I said I was cutting it down to 5 1/4 inch. So that's going to leave me this. Now, I could leave it that way, but you know what? I really liked the other side of this paper. So I'm going to cut this piece down to 4 inches. Remember, that's on the inside of the card. All right, now we need to talk about how we want to cut this piece. Remember, I told you you had 1.5 inches to work with. That's going to be cut off. So let's kind of look at it. I actually think I'm going to cut that off of this end because, and let me show you, this area, this kind of, I'm going to call it the bald spot. That's a horrible way of looking at it, but it is there on the inside, and my sentiment, my greeting here kind of covered it. So I actually think I'm going to just start cutting this down, and I'm going to let that 1.5 inches come off the end. Remember, we're cutting this into 2 pieces that are 1 7/8. So we'll do 1 7/8, and then from this, we need 3/4 of an inch. And what's great, we do have this little strip that's left over. Oh, friends, you can easily add that and create a quick and easy card. So, all right, there are my 3 pieces. We're going to add those to the 2 panels there on the left side of the card. And here's my Very Vanilla card base for the inside. Remember, that's going to line up right along the edge. Here on the inside, we're going to take our little 4 inch by 3/4 inch strip. That'll go there. And our stamping, we're going to use the Label Me Grateful stamp set and a gorgeous grape ink pad. So let's see. Here is my greeting. Friends, this is a Very Vanilla 1 3/4 inch by 2 inch. And this gorgeous grape ink, it's so beautiful because it's so rich and deep, right? It really just jumps off of that Very Vanilla. For the inside, we're going to simply say, you are appreciated. We'll add our card where we're going to write our message right here. We'll close that up. Now, I have got a piece of gorgeous grape. This is a 2 1/4 by 3. Let's adhere our greeting right in the center. We're not going to distress this one like we did our other card. Now we're going to add this right here. Just like before, we're going to go, oh, it looks like maybe a little less than half of our greeting. So about like that. I'm going to add that here to the center of the card. Remember, flip it over, make sure you're where you need to be. That looks good. Now for this card, I'm going to add a little bit of bling. So for my first piece of bling, I'm going to use some of the gold mesh ribbon, and I'm going to teach you really quickly how to create a flag on the end of the ribbon. So you want to cut your ribbon straight. A lot of times we always cut at an angle, but you're going to want it straight for this. And I'm going to fold the ribbon in half, and I want to cut here from the inside. So the fold is facing me. We're going to cut from the inside to those outside corners. Okay. Boom. We got a little flag. All right. A little crooked flag. So I think I'm going to try that again. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right. Now we're going to do that to the other side. Remember, you're just going to fold, and you're going to want the fold towards you, and your scissors are going to be down that way. And look at this. We're just going to cut, and boom, we're going to get that little flag. See, I really like that. I think that looks really great. So let me find my mini glue dots here, and I'm going to press my ribbon knot here in the center of a mini glue dot. I'm going to put that right down here in the bottom right corner. And I still felt like it needed a little bit more. Yeah, these iridescent foil gems, they have a little bit of iridescent and a little bit of gold. I thought they were just perfect to go along with that ribbon. So I'm going to grab one of the larger ones. I'm going to add about 3. So let's go ahead and grab one of the smaller ones here right next to it. And I find that when it comes to embellishments, you always need to do it in 3s. All right. Everything just is better in 3s. So I think I'll add another one right there. Friends, there we go. Look at that. Gorgeous card. So fast and easy. And I know there are just times we need fast and easy cards, but I loved the addition of the card here on the inside versus only being able to write here on one side. So again, love adding that little bit. And of course, that designer series paper on the side and on the inside, oh, that's just icing on the cake. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you liked the video. If you did, would you give me a thumbs up there on YouTube? I always appreciate that. If you have not subscribed, hey, why not just click that subscribe button? If you ring the bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I'm back with a new video. And I share twice a week here on the channel. I'd love to have you. If you are really like gaga for paper crafting, you're also going to want to check out my YouTube membership. Guys, we have all kinds of great perks over on the membership. You can read all about it by clicking the join button. It's right next to the subscribe button. We have all kinds of great things going on over there, and I'd love to have you check it out. All right, my friends, that is all for me. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to stamping with you next time. Bye-bye.